And now on Speak on Stage, we've got an incredible guest. If you're interested in launching a book and you're wondering, where do I start? Where do I go? How do I do it? Will it be famous? Will it be a bestseller? Everyone else is a genius, and I don't think I am. Then prepare to reinvent every single thought you have. Our next guest is a best-selling author. And why does she do it so well? Because she's reinvented the entire genre. She had a book that came out that was just about to become a movie called Party Girl. Things didn't happen the way that she wanted them to, but in fact, what did happen was she said, I am not going to do this again. There's a better way of doing it, and she's going to share that with us next. I hope you're excited. I know I am. Next on Speak on Stage, I'd like to introduce to you the amazing Anna David. Welcome to Speak on Stage with davecrane, the podcast where we unpack the art and science of public speaking to help you command the stage with confidence and authority. I'm your host, Dave Crane, and as a seasoned speaker, coach, and entertainer, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals like you to unlock their true potential on stage all around the world. Each week, we'll bring you candid conversations with industry experts, successful speakers, and thought leaders, delving into proven strategies, practical tips, and personal anecdotes to empower you to become a captivating communicator. So whether you're a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills or a beginner taking your first steps onto the stage, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering the craft of public speaking. So grab your notepad, open your mind, and get ready to amplify your impact as we embark on this journey together. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. Together, let's jump and grow wings on the way down.
Oh, that was brilliant. I just feel like I just saw a preview for my life. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Anna, it's a pleasure having you on the show. And first time I saw you, and I don't even know how, I wasn't stalking. I think I was writing my book and coming to the end of it, the Thought Leaders Playbook, and I saw a video that you might have posted, but it was on YouTube, where you basically threw out everything that every book midwife was telling people about launching a book. And every publishing
Mm.
house is telling you. And I've got lots of friends who are best-selling Amazon #1 thing, and I'm looking at them going, but your book's rubbish. I won't tell you that, but I haven't read it. I looked at it and I thought, I'm not into, but who's this audience? And it was fascinating to hear you say, don't worry about being a best-selling author. Don't worry about going with a publisher. You can do it yourself. It's not about your book. It's about opening up an income stream and a way of marketing yourself. So you've got a sales funnel, you've got a course, you've got speaking, and you've got loads of other ways of launching yourself. That book will be the beginning of opening doors. And I went,
Yep.
that's what I want to do. That's who I want to talk to. And so here you are. Thank you for joining us.
I love it. I think you saw the Film Courage video. I went on this YouTube show and then they chop it up into different videos and so to me what I was saying is what I've been saying all along for decades, but because that channel is so big, so many people saw it, and that's what you want is people who don't already know what I'm preaching to hear this message and to say, okay, everything you've been told is wrong. And you can trust me because I bought it hook, line, and sinker for 10 years. And it wasn't, I wish I could say I was such a quick study that I learned after Party Girl. Oh, no, 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 I'm not going to do it this way. I did 5 more books with HarperCollins. I am the slowest learner ever. And in that time, it was 2007 to 2012. I watched the publishing industry basically self destruct. But one could say more optimistically, we saw it evolve. And so I was able to take everything I learned through really the heartbreak of traditional publishing and incorporate it into what I know about being an entrepreneur and show people how to publish books and not break your own heart, not demoralize yourself begging for book sales that aren't going to happen. And so, yeah, that's my overall spiel.
Fantastic. You said it better than me, but I wasn't far off. Here's what I want to do. First of all, let's establish your story because I think it's really important for 2 reasons. One of which is when we work out who you are and how you relate to us, then we're able to place ourselves in that story. But also, it establishes that when you start talking about everything, it humanizes who you are. And I think that's really important. Most people don't think about their origin story. They don't think about who they are, how they got there. They just want to go, look, I'm a Kardashian. And that's exactly what they shouldn't be doing, because
Yeah.
there's no interest in seeing somebody who was a millionaire became a billionaire, but there's a massive interest in somebody who started off with zero and became a
Yeah.
millionaire. What decisions did they make? How did they go through it? So get us up to speed. Who is the Anna David in front of us right now? No pressure.
And I feel none. But what I love about what you said is that is how I approach books, and that's how I approach sharing your story, is you need to know your who, your what, and your why. So I'm a very you could call it crass, you could call it practical. I say do not do a book if you just wanna, help people, if it's just on your bucket list. Those are great things, but if it's not gonna benefit you by helping you get clients, go volunteer. Go jump out of an airplane. Do something else that's on your bucket list or that can help people. These are not mutually exclusive. Have it help you, put the oxygen mask on first, have it help other people, and have it be a bucket list thing. Now I totally forget what my point is. Oh, but my point is you need to know who your book is for. I wrote 6 books. I had no idea. My publisher never said, "Who is this for?" I naively thought, "Well, it's for everyone." I mean, it's like, and it's that marketing idea, when it's for everyone, it's for no one. If you don't know who your book is for, you have no business writing. And you need to know then, what is it you're breaking down? And I'm not talking about, obviously, I'm not talking about novels, and I'm not talking about memoirs either. I'm really talking about how to business books. What is it you're breaking it down? And then and then if you're the author, or in my case, like the client, what is it you sell, and why is what you do important to you? Why does it matter? And a great example of this is, because some people may say, well, it's like, I don't know, there's nothing deep about it. Sarah Blakely from Spanx, somebody with a great origin story, first self-made billionaire, definitely not a Kardashian. When you ask, what she says about Spanx is Spanx helps women feel great about themselves and their potential. She doesn't say Spanx helps women look thin. Spanx helps women get their bodies back after babies. It is helps women feel great about themselves and their potential. So no matter what it is you do, there is something deeper. And you need to know all of those things before doing a book. Okay, that it didn't answer your question at all. So I am, let's see, I'm a 53-year-old first-time mom. My boyfriend and I have a 9-month-old baby who was born via surrogate. My life is a testament to impossible dreams coming true like that. And, when I come from a very mentally ill, very troubled family, and spent most of my life believing them that I was crazy, because that was really what the narrative was. I struggled with addiction. I got sober in 2000, so it's been over 23 years. And all I wanted was to be a writer. That's all. I majored in creative writing. I worked at magazines back when those existed. And then my dreams came true. I got the biggest book deal with the biggest publisher, tons of media attention, bidding war over the film rights. Dreams came true. Well, first thing that happened is I remember when I wanted the book to sell, I remember saying to God, if this happens, I'll be happy for the rest of my life. I promise, I promise, I promise. And then for about 2 weeks, it worked. And I was just like, this is it. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what? That didn't do it. And it was that
Wait,
horrible.
can I rewind a little bit? This is part of
Yeah.
what we're talking about. And for
Yes.
those who don't know, it's not the same, but it's kind of like that Eat, Love, Pray book, in the fact that it affects people in a way that is a whole way of being a person and so on. And the whole, and are you, I won't go into the movie bit. You're going to talk about that in a minute, but it was something that really hit the zeitgeist of a certain type of person at a certain time. So it should have been huge.
Well, that is very generous of you to say. One of my theories about Party Girl is that I'm the one perpetuating this myth that it's very zeitgeisty. And if I just keep saying that, maybe it will become true. The book did not sell well. Now, what happened was my publisher, Judith Regan, who in the 90s was it. Like, She was everybody's publisher. She was fired by Rupert Murdoch like 3 months before my book came out.
Mm.
Nobody sits down and says to you, "Oh, Anna, it's over. Dream just died." Nobody says that to you. So I just didn't understand. They just said, my agent said, "Oh, you're so lucky the book is still gonna come out. Regan Books canceled a lot of deals." And I didn't know how publishing worked back in 2007. They had to sell to chain bookstores and there was no one to sell. So Amazon didn't matter as much. And so because it wasn't really in bookstores, book bombed sales-wise. However, tons of media attention, tons of film interest. But what I knew and no one else did, except everyone I told because I'm a chronic confessionalist and told everybody, it wasn't selling well. And because one of my later books was a New York Times bestseller, people get confused and I often don't correct them and they go, "Oh, she's the New York Times bestselling author of Party Girl." Yes, I am a New York Times bestselling author and I am the author of Party Girl, but those two those it was not. It should have been, it was not. And so I spent so many years not understanding what was going on, like that was over. That does happen to people. It happened to Elizabeth Gilbert. It happens to Brene Brown. It happens. You are struck by lightning. Your book hits the zeitgeist. Millions and millions of copies are sold. It is more rare than anything I've ever imagined, and yet every author assumes it's gonna happen to them. You hear the people go, "Oh, no, it doesn't," and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's not true for me. It's not true for me," because that's what I said, and I've said it to a million people and watched them go through the same thing. And so because you can't count on a lottery ticket, you can't count on, like, karma or whatever the hell is gonna propel your book to that status. Focus on what you can control, which is what can this book do for you and how can you make that happen?
That's so amazing to say that because most people, everyone's got a book inside them with some description, but most of the books that people write are about it's they're trying to sum up their life, hoping the world gives a monkeys. And the world doesn't. Nobody cares about me. No disrespect. Nobody cares about anybody. They care about what's in it for them. And so you have to be able
100%.
to give them something that gives them more love, more life, more money, more happiness, a faster tracking to get to where they need to be. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is actually not the novel, but the business book. The one that
Mhm.
basically takes your essence of what you've learned and hits a very targeted audience to make their lives easier. Would you say that
Ab
that would be the one to publish?
Absolute to me, and there are people who would disagree 100%. That's Look, when my kid was born, I started writing a book on motherhood. Within a month, I had 40,000 words. And then I said, "Who cares about my book about motherhood?" Nobody. Really nobody. And I does it speak to my heart? 100%. Is it going to be worth it to me? Am I gonna get a client from it? No. So I shelved it. And perhaps and what I started working on a different book, and I am less passionate about that book. It doesn't matter. To me, that's what I want. I'm not doing this for volunteer work. I am doing this because I want it to produce a certain result. So yes, I think our biggest problem, all of us as humans, you said it so perfectly. It's like we think people care about us. They don't. They care about, like you said, like what can we do for them? So we sit down and we're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share that. I'm going to share this." We have not bothered to find out if anyone cares. And so it's very unsexy and very unfun to find out what people care about. And the best way to do it is not to ask them, although that's something, send out a newsletter, post on social media, what do you care about? The best way, in my opinion, is you post on social media and you see what people respond to. And you go, "Oh, what? Everybody liked that? Huh, I guess I should focus on that." And then there are other things you can do. Going to Amazon, Amazon is the third largest search engine in the world. Let's say your book, we could do it right. Okay, remind me your book,
My
the one that
book
you
is
haven't really.
called, and it's just about to go to print. So this is my check everything copy to make sure it's all there. Is the Thought
Love it.
Leaders Playbook. So it's a book with a number of exercises, but a number of different tools and techniques to be able to get you from wherever you are to be seen as an industry leader and an industry icon. And so it takes you step by step. That's basically what it's aimed at.
Okay. So I love that. Now, what we're going to do right now, live, we're going to do my exercise. I went
Are you
to
going to treat me as
Amazon.
a guinea pig now? You are, aren't you? I hope I'm good.
Yeah, and especially because the book is done, this should be interesting.
Hmm.
So you go to Amazon, and I just started by searching all with thought leader,
Hmm.
but I'm not getting thought leadership books comes up second. But let's go. Let's see when people go to Amazon and they're searching for a book on thought leaders, it's just like Google. How does it auto populate? How it auto populates, thought leader selling. So let's say you had finished your book or you were writing your book and you had nothing about selling. I'm guaranteeing you do. You would know, let's add about that. That's what people are searching for. Usually it auto populates with more. So like let's do how to publish a book.
Well,
Uh
the thing is, just to jump in here, it's your 6-step roadmap to visibility, credibility, and profitability. So sorry, you can't see that. I'm off camera. But it is very
yeah,
much about the sales process. It's
of
built from
course. Because you're a genius.
oh, stop it.
You're a genius. You didn't need this. But so then if you go how to publish, comes up how to publish a book on Amazon, how to publish a book on Amazon for free. And so if you are writing a book on how to publish, these would be things to look for. There's a great tool called Publisher Rocket, which you can also use. It'll tell you if you search for certain keywords, it will tell you what are the most popular books on Amazon on that topic. How many copies are selling a week? I mean, it's amazing. It can tell you so many things. So you have to know who your book is for, and you have to know what you want them to do when they're done. And you better have a strong why, or you're never going to finish it because doing a book right is either a lot of work or a lot of money. And so that's why I'm saying don't just do it to help people.
Yeah, it's not fun. It takes a lot. And the bit for me, because I'm a real creative starter, but when you've got to go for a book and treat it like your homework and look for full stops and then get the editor to change everything, your head explodes. So it's probably taken me 5 months longer of just going back over the finished book to make sure it was the way I wanted it to. And even things like, I mean, I've got friends who are publishers, who are writers, and even the cover, which I created, which I thought was really good, he said, Dave, one guy, Dr. Cory Block, who's a very well-known business coach from UAE, said, Dave, stay in your lane. Get somebody who designs book covers to do the book cover. Don't do it yourself. And I was like, okay. And so I agree with you completely. It's really, but here's the thing, right? I don't care about Amazon bestseller. My book,
Yeah.
I want to get on the desks of the people who are going to hire me and say, Dave, come to speak to our group, come train our management, come and do our conference. It's whether they buy it on print on demand or it becomes a bestseller or not, doesn't matter to me. That's why it resonated, because you know that's a major part of self-publishing.
100%. One of the best things you can do with your book, especially, a book like that or the book, my last book on good authority, I reached out to people I knew who ran masterminds and I said, oh, can I send you 100 copies? So not only am I not trying to sell it, I'm paying for other people to have it because I know the value and it's worked. One person reads it, they hire my company. Our packages are between 22 and $100,000. Do you know how many books I would have to sell to make that kind of money? And so, yeah, that's exactly how I do it. So, yes, I do think being a number one Amazon bestseller is great because even though it's not super hard to do, not everybody knows that. And so, when you say to somebody it's a number one bestseller, that means more. But absolutely, it is getting it to those people and getting them to read it and getting them to hire you.
I agree with you completely. And that's what, I mean, one of the guys that I follow, and we'll be getting him to be an interview on this podcast, Daniel Priestley. He talks about the KPIs, key person of influence. One of the things he talks about to his many people that he trains is he says, give your books away. He says, if you give away 1,000, you'll get $1 million back. He says,
Yeah, I love
you
it.
got to send them. I mean, the more you can print, the more you can send, the more that people will come back. And one of my mentors is a guy called Jeff Smith, who's a best-selling. He's got 7 number one best-selling books in the automobile industry on all the it's called the KPI guy. Everything you need to know about KPIs, key performance indicators. And he says to me, first of all, he made me upset, and I don't mind sharing this with you. He turned around to me and said, right, what's your book about? Because I wrote one called Speak on Stage. I said, it's for all the CEOs who are terrible speakers. And he said, well, okay, so what's it for? He says, well, because they're terrible speakers. It teaches them the business industry of speaking, how to convert from a stage, how to get booked at more things, and how to be really impact when you give a speech. He said, okay, they don't care. I went, what? And he said, well, think about it. They're CEOs. They want to be a CEO. They want to get the business done in their office. They don't want to run a business as speakers. They don't want to travel around the world speaking. They want to get the message across to people and get out of there as quickly as possible. So I reinvented it and I made it like speaking for dummies. So you can open a book,
Mhm.
got all the bits that you need, open up, print it off, fill in the gaps, done. And that's it. And it really made me think about why it is that you want to reach your audience and who it is that you're going to do it for. And so
Yeah.
it's really important to have that in mind. And I say that to all my clients, industry icons, and game changers. Think about who your book's for. Nobody cares. Why would they pick it up? And maybe 1% of people will actually read the book, but the rest of them just need to have the proof that you're an author. So therefore, when they Google somebody who can supply them, they can see that you're a better one than them because you put it in writing. Therefore, you rise to the top of the pile. Would you say that's about right?
I would absolutely say it's right. However, you know, I would say because 1% of people read your book, make yours one of the ones they wanna read.
It's true.
One of my things with On Good Authority, I took all the podcast interviews I'd done and, my own experience because I had a podcast where I interviewed experts about book launches, and I had amazing people on it, Robert Greene and Chris Voss and all these people, and I compiled it into a book, and I did it, and then I read through it, and I had the experience that I have reading many books, which is I was like, "This is boring as shit." Apologies for swearing. And so I did a humor pass and I went through it and I said, I'm going to make this funny because I only want to produce a book that I would want to read. And people tell me all the time that it's a hilarious book on how to publish an authority building book. Have I sold thousands and thousands of copies? No, I don't actually look at my book sales because I just don't care. It came out over a year and a half ago. Is it just now hitting with people who are reading it and being transformed by it and hiring me? Yeah, it certainly wasn't in the first 6 months. It wasn't even in the first year. It's there forever, so why don't I make it the highest quality I can? And so that when someone picks it up, they have to finish it. I do think shorter books are important because, there's millions of books coming out and I look at I'm a book critic on TV, so I get sent every book. I get sent so many. And, the door stoppers, I'm pretty much not gonna read. I'm gonna read the shorter ones, and studies show that anyway.
I agree with you completely on that. And I think that it's really important to know what your boundaries are with what it is you're producing and the effort you put into it. And I think that you've got to have the time as well as, I mean, not even the money. There's lots of ways of getting people to help you with the heavy lifting of the editing and even the publishing, getting it on with the barcodes on the back and the numbers, all the rest of it. But I want to talk to you about the business model of having a book. So your book is there, it tells people about how to do gardening, or it tells you how to make a cake, or whatever it is. Your business book is what you do for a living. What are the spin-offs that you should use to generate from that book?
Well, I will say I'm not somebody who has had success with courses. I have tried many, many, many times. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, go make a course out of your book." I would not say that. I would say you could probably make a keynote after about every chapter. That is a great way to really have your book keep working for you. And, one thing about speaking, and you know this so well too, is I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, I want to be a speaker." It is, I want to get paid $20,000 for a night. It is beyond not an overnight process. And it is certainly not an automatic thing. So again, that's long-term plan. I'm a big fan of I'd rather speak for free to an audience that could hire me than get paid $10,000 to speak. So I kind of went off on a tangent, but so I think rather than
Why? Sorry, why? 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 Why?
I spoke for free 2 weeks ago,
Mm,
and I got $200,000 clients, and that's just better math,
there
you
you go.
know?
There you go. That's the point I wanted to say because it's a lost leader. The fact is, you're
Yeah.
out there and you are the lead magnet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you basically got an audience that has no choice for the 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you're speaking, but to be there for you to do a sales pitch, even if it doesn't look like one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're
And
absolutely right.
have it not look like one
Yeah.
because it's such a turn off when it does. So, yes, people you can make your book into courses, you can make it into podcasts. Certainly, I think that that's great. I did it the other way around. I took my podcast and made it into a book, and I'm doing it again with my current podcast. But I mean, the best thing you can do is send it to clients. One great tip is if you know a prospective client, your prospective client probably knows another prospective client. Send this person 2 copies, sign both of them. People are less likely to throw away a signed book. And, let's say it's somebody who's got an office and someone else is gonna come in and say, "Oh, what's that?" "Oh, here, I've got an extra copy." I think that's a really smart way to do it. And like I said, giving it to masterminds, doing it in some way that's really gonna get attention. For On Good Authority, I actually ordered these electronic notebooks from China where they had the book cover printed on it, and then if you opened it up, I made a video that said, "Hey, thanks, Dave, here's my book. I hope you love it, blah, blah, blah." So it just really made an impact. So something that's gonna be yeah, there are these shock and awe boxes. People are, they'll get all this swag made for their book, and that's really cool. I mean, get people excited. Know there's a lot of competition for people's attention spans.
How difficult is it to get your book to be profitable? Not looking at the actual book itself. Well, mind you, I suppose selling on Amazon may make some money, but you shouldn't be basing it on that. I know lots of people have never made any money, but they're really well known and they get lots
Yeah.
of spin-offs. What realistically should people be looking at from their book on a return on investments?
It 100% depends on what you charge, what your services, what your products or services are. I know people who've made 0, and I know people that have made $10,000,000. So, it really, really does depend. I think you have to have a plan. I had a guy named Mike Koenigs on my podcast, and he talked about making one book into an $8,000,000 product
I know
where
Mike.
from the book
I've worked with
Oh,
Mike.
you do?
He's amazing, amazing.
I mean, nobody's better at selling than Mike Koenig. Yeah. So, he talked about the book led to a webinar that led to a live event that led to let's create courses for you. So it really depends on how methodical you are. And because my philosophy with my business is we won't take money from somebody we don't think can earn back 10 to 100 times what they pay us. If somebody comes to us and says, happens all the time. I've got a course, it's $100, and so I wanna do my book, and I wanna lead people to buy the course, or I've never spoken before, but I want the book to lead to speaking, is we will not take them as clients because it's a terrible, terrible idea. Our ideal client is someone who's like, "Well, I got a service, I'm a consultant, I charge, $10,000," then that's really gonna pay off.
Absolutely. It's really important to see that return on investment because there is a lag time, as you say. I mean, in the movie industry, it'd be called having a sleeper movie. I was reading an article the other day about the amount of movies that became cult hits, but lost a fortune for everybody involved. But later on, people go, "Oh, that's my favorite movie, The Shawshank Redemption." As an example, The Shawshank Redemption was a box office dud. But how many
I didn't
people
know that.
rate it on their best movies of all time? So many movies like that, and books are the same. But I think that there's more books being. I mean, it's like speakers. Everybody who's ever held a camera now is claiming to be a speaker. In Dubai alone, there's about 10,000 apparent speakers. So it's really hard to position yourself unless you've got the proof. Part of it is a
Yeah,
book, part of it is the optics, and part of it is the fact that you're busy working. So
yeah,
people don't want to hire somebody who's on the way up, who's not got any proof. They want to hire somebody who's got evidence that they're doing it. And I
yeah.
think that your book has to kind of be slotted in amongst that. But here's a question going a bit more technical about it. How often should you produce a book? And should you create a podcast series about that book or about you or about your thought leadership and just put a new book in as a new season every year?
It's a great question. I would say, truly, you may only need 1. You may only need 1. I would say I'm a victim of having too many books. And unlike most people, I think writing books is super fun. It's what I do for fun. And so I have to stop myself. I think I have confused the marketplace because I have too many books on too many topics. I think if you do it right, if you go, okay, I'm going to do one and I'm going to do it right, and I'm really going to think about it and I'm going to work with the top people on it, you only need one. Obviously, depending on your topic, it could go out of date. So, you know, doing a new version, Amazon, I always say Amazon forgives, but it doesn't forget. So you can put a book on Amazon and you could set it back to draft, like unpublish it. It will still come up as in the search and it's going to look kind of weird
Right.
because it's going to be like out of print. What? But if you keep the same ISBN and you keep the same title, you can update it as many times as you want.
Self-publishing is a major thing that most people don't. It's like a website. You can update it, you can change it, you can do all sorts to it. But as long as you get it out there, then you've got the bragging rights to say, I've got a book out there. Now, I wanted to ask you about that specific thing because when you're creative, especially when you're a writer, because the business model for most journalists has gone. Magazine publishers has gone. Even for many people involved in any part of the old established media business has got reinvented. When I looked up all your books on Amazon, I saw so many. I wanted to have one area that I could talk to you about where all of them were super excited. And it was just like, it was difficult to zone down. So because there's so much noise going on, and I don't mean it with disrespect, it's
I
amazing.
know.
And I'm coming from where you come from.
Yeah.
How do you choose which of your babies you want to share with the audience?
Well, I it's a really good point. The nice thing about the internet is stuff gets buried. So the more I talk about my most recent book, the more my books from 2007 are going to become less relevant. What you talk about stays relevant. And that was sort of kind of what I was saying about Party Girl. It's like I'm insisting it's a sensation, and so the world kind of has to believe me even though arguably that's not true. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I had no guidance from publishers. I was just churning out books. I had a big agent and she said, "Do a book a year." There was no thought behind each book. And so, I've got books that I would never recommend that I published a long time ago with the top publisher in the world doing it. And yeah, I mean, I'm also somebody I get bored, I want to focus on new things. And so the best way to get attention for something you care about is to do a book about it and then kind of bring the attention there.
I want to take it back to Party Girl and the experience, which I think is phenomenal about the book, the the movie opportunity, about the advance money, and the fact that the disappointment that goes into the fact it just sat there. But I think you got paid, so there was a check involved at the early part. Is that correct? Doesn't matter how big
Yes.
it was. Can you talk us through that and share your experience of it?
Yes. The check was big to me then because I was a writer and I was used to being massively underpaid. Frankly, it would not be a big deal to me today. I mean, it would be nice, but it's not like I got hundreds of
How
thousands of
much? How much
dollars.
was it? If you don't mind me asking.
I got $50,000, which at the time seemed great. The truth is, taxes, agent fees, it worked out to very little. I was able to sell there because there was a bidding war over optioning the book. I was able to sell the option for 20,000, which is completely impossible today. They don't even pay for options anymore. And then I was able to sell the foreign rights. So I made some money, but it's not a good system. And and all the media attention was wonderful. I would say I didn't appreciate it because I think a lot of us, it's part of youth, is you get this amazing opportunity and you're just like, yeah, of course. Sure. I didn't understand. I was having beginner's luck. I didn't understand people really care about first books. They don't care about fourth books and all that stuff. And so I just was like, yeah, this is like, I'm amazing. Like I should be having this. And then the disappointment, I mean, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to have it be a quote unquote failure. When the movie I got so wooed for the movie rights that one the producers I went with, it was a daughter group pair, and they said, "We want this. What can we do to sway you to give it to us?" And I'm a Gen Xer, so my favorite movie was Reality Bites. And so I said, "Get the woman who wrote Reality Bites." And they were like, "We'll do it." And so we do the deal, CAA does the deal, it's this big thing. And then just like, because this is Hollywood, I never hear from them again.
Wow.
Never, never, never. And one day I get an email from my agent at CAA that says, "Congratulations, the rights to Party Girl have reverted back to you." And I wrote and I said, "What does that mean?" Never heard back. So that means, like, you're done in Hollywood speak. And so years pass and there's interest and different people do different things. And one day I just write this article about that experience. And the woman who wrote Reality Bites, named Helen Childress, saw the article, writes me and says, "Did you never see the script I wrote of your book?" And I said, "No, I thought they were lying. Like, I never heard from them again." And she sent it to me. So I'm reading my favorite screenwriter's version of my book, which is based on my life, like 10 years after.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the script wasn't great. And so Sony had it and it went into, turnaround. So, which again means never going to happen. And so, yeah, it's been optioned over and over again. I do believe it's going to happen now, but I will be honest, like, it was supposed to be shooting this year. And Hollywood, it's like, I'm sure you know this. It's like you gotta catch the wave on the way up. Now I'm like, "Ugh, it's shelved for how long?" So I've lost a little bit of enthusiasm. We
Mm.
had a director, she got pregnant. Again, it's at CAA, so this was all very big, and I don't know, like, right now, I'm in a phase where I'm not hearing back from the producers, and I'm like, "This again?" So
It's a tough one. Here's the thing, and I think that it makes a big difference. What you've just had a beautiful bouncing baby boy. And
yeah,
so what that also does, having a kid, is it means that your priorities are no longer about me, me, me. It's about them, them, them. And so all the things that you grew up wanting to be recognized by people saying, "Oh, you're genius. I love it." And all, I couldn't give a monkey's who says yes or no. I look at my kids' eyes. I look at the conversations I'm having with my wife. I talk to my mom. I look at my dogs, my close friends. That's where I see the credibility. I see it in that. That's my world. That's the thing that matters to me. I love my work and I'm very blessed with
yeah,
doing what I do, but it's a completely different shift. And so that Hollywood system, and one of the guests I've got coming up on a future podcast, a guy called Dr. Abe Kuris, he runs an agency for Hollywood. So he has all the access to all the big stars, all the producers, all the big hitters. And we talked at length about the way that Hollywood's changing and how difficult it is, to the point where you're better off not if you can't be bothered, because there's a whole world out there that doesn't watch movies anymore. The cinemas are dying. He was saying that the
yeah.
future of cinema is having double bills and making it cheaper to eat when you're there and making it more of an
Mm,
experience, because the old way of a big movie that you go along, tentpole movies, has disappeared. You get more fun out of Netflix and a whole series of a season of the really good stuff with top actors than you get from one movie that comes out every 2.5 years. So
mhm.
I'm going to throw a question at you based on the challenges of being a speaker, which is, sorry, being a writer, but also that moves into speaking. AI is hijacking the whole game, but making it a lot easier to get books out there. What's your thoughts? Because I've read your stuff and you're funny, you're amazing. You can tell your personality comes through, but you can train a bot, no disrespect intended, to know your
Mm.
style and produce more Anna David books. What's your thoughts on that?
It it certainly isn't at the point yet, no matter what prompt you put in, where the writing is gonna be what someone like me considers good.
Mm.
I know that there are a lot Mike Koenigs is definitely out there talking about do AI books. To me, and again, I only wanna produce something I would wanna read. Um, Maybe someday it will get to the point where it actually can mimic you in a way that makes it feel fresh. But it's certainly not there yet. Believe me, I would do it. I could produce so much more. And I use AI for, ideation and titles. Oh my God, so good at that. I'm not particularly worried about it, perhaps naively, because I think that in a world where quote unquote everyone's a writer, the actual talent is really going to show even more. And that's what my team has. So you know, I'm not gonna say it's good. I think any evolution, I try to look at it as a good thing. The way publishing has evolved, the way movies have evolved. Like we can lament how sad it is that there's no tentpole movies anymore, no one cares. Or we can go, wow, look at all the opportunities today for streaming or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm not worried about it, but check with me in 5 years. Maybe it'll be like, oh God, I should have, but what point is worrying right now gonna do?
So let's
I
take a
mean,
slightly
yes,
different angle on it then. Sorry, I interrupted you, Flo. Go ahead.
you could say worrying would get me to be more proactive in finding a solution, but I'm not worried about it right now.
I think that right now, where we are with AI, is it enhances those who have really good acoustic skills in their craft. So, do you remember when MTV used to do MTV Live
Mhm.
Unplugged? So, you get Brian Adams, who had all these great big rock songs, but then you put him in a little bar with people drinking whatever lager or glasses of wine or whatever it is. He's got just an acoustic guitar and an acoustic band, and he had to do different versions of the songs for that audience. And you get to see the essence of that song broken down into the craft of his music, and you appreciate it in a way that you could never do with a fully polished sound that came out the studio. I believe that AI, for where we are right now, means that if you're a skilled operator, then your skills are important. Even if things, I mean, if you're a lawyer studies for 8 years to become a lawyer, and in 8 seconds, a AI can learn all the law books and all the cases. But if you're a
Right.
skilled lawyer, you can turn around and say, actually, well, that's what the law is. But if you look at the audience, look at the jury, they're not going to believe that. They're going to go in a different
Yeah.
direction because I know how they're going to feel about this particular character that we got in the doc. So your acoustic skills that you build up make it really effective. As an author and as a writer and as a speaker as well, what would you suggest people use AI for? If not for writing the book, what do you do to speed up your processes?
Titles is amazing. I will tell you, AI just came up with the best plot. I wanna write I wrote the script for Party Girl, and I wanna write another movie. And because my boyfriend and I used a surrogate for our baby, I didn't go to ChatGPT, I think I went to Perplexity, which is a great one,
Love
and
it.
I said, "Give me a romantic comedy plot that involves a surrogate." It plopped out the best plot because 'cause I'm good at writing, but I'm not good at making things up, and so, it's great at that. I became a Vistage speaker, which is this and I think they even have Vistage where you are. But I had to have a special bio that talked about it, and I just was like, "Make this bio more like a Vistage bio," or whatever, and it does that.
We have to have a part two because this is fascinating and you're amazing. And I look forward to the chance to catch up. Do not go anywhere yet, but I will say
Yes.
thank you for now. And what an amazing thing. If I could leave you with one question, what should people do to start writing their book? What would be the thing you should tell them to do?
Um, get professional help first because I can't tell you the number of people I meet who are like, "Oh, I'm 8 years into writing this book." If you talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, and I'm not plugging our services because, like I said, services are not for everybody, but talk to a professional who can outline your book, who can reflect back to you what you're saying and outline your book for you, and you are gonna save yourself so many headaches. That is a service that we do have where you just have a call with one of our writers and they produce a 2 to 4 page outline, then get started.
Amazing. And there'll be lots of people who want to connect with you. I'll make sure that all your connection details and your team in the details of this actual interview so they can then chase you up and have as much joy as I've had chatting with you. It's been a pleasure having you on this show. I look forward to part two of finding out what people do next after they've started their book. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, Anna David.
Thank you so much. This was super fun.
And there you go, the amazing Anna David. There will be a part two to this conversation as we talk about how to get your book and launch your speaking career. If you're fascinated by the things we're covering there, check out who Anna David is, but also make sure that you keep watching these podcasts. I've got some incredible stars talking about Hollywood, talking about how to write your books, how to launch your business, and how to leverage a whole thing to position yourself as a game changer and thought leader. Plus, you also need to make sure that you are first in line to get a copy of my own book. It's called The Thought Leaders Playbook. And some of the biggest hitters in the industry have already said it's a wow. More great guests, more great thoughts and comments for you. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, make sure you do and check out the guests and the insights from previous ones. And I promise you, it'll make your life much faster and much better. I challenge you to jump and grow wings on the way down, but I don't leave you to it. I make sure that I lead the way and show you how to join with me on this incredible journey. I'm loving it. I hope you love it too. Life is too short to hang around waiting, so why not go out and seize it and grab it and make it happen? And that's what we do this podcast. Look forward to talking to you again soon on Speak on Stage. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane, the podcast where we unpack the art and science of public speaking to help you command the stage with confidence and authority. I'm your host, Dave Crane, and as a seasoned speaker, coach, and entertainer, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals like you to unlock their true potential on stage all around the world. Each week, we'll bring you candid conversations with industry experts, successful speakers, and thought leaders, delving into proven strategies, practical tips, and personal anecdotes to empower you to become a captivating communicator. So whether you're a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills or a beginner taking your first steps onto the stage, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering the craft of public speaking. So grab your notepad, open your mind, and get ready to amplify your impact as we embark on this journey together. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. Together, let's jump and grow wings on the way down.